Usually I start my videos pretty hyped up, but today I'm a little somber because my favorite player all time, Team Canada, has retired at age 37. Diana Matheson was expected to retire sometime within the next couple years because she's been battling injuries for so long. But I just kind of want to create this video as a little thank you to her for everything she's done. And I know many of you were probably inspired by her actions when she performed at the 2012 Olympics and at the 2016 Olympics, but for me, she inspired me even before then. I actually have this player card that she gave me when I was about 10 years old, so I guess that's over 13 years ago, probably would have been 2009, and so just says her name and when she was playing for Team Straumen FK, so I guess that would be, I think Sweden. Pardon me if that's wrong. And so it just had a couple facts on it, such as favorite music is Dixie Chicks, and she liked using Skype as her social media of sorts. So for me, she was an iconic influence there. She came to visit my team. She's from Oakville and I'm from Burlington, so just a jump away. And for that, to see a player from the national team, I don't think I fully appreciated her taking the time to come out. Like, I appreciated it, but I didn't really understand just how fantastic a player she was at that time, and I got to watch her continue to see how she evolved as a player and made her name. She's just iconic. And so she wrote a letter to her fans announcing her retirement, and she came across some topics that I thought were super important, and it kind of shows who she is as a player. So forgive me as I read a couple of the lines that I took note of. One is, I hope you saw a player who relentlessly covered every inch of the pitch for club and country. What I lacked in physical stature, I made up for in leading with intensity and determination. For me, that was especially inspiring. I played center back of height 5'4", not the most intimidating presence, and for her to play at 5 foot against the best players in the world, she showed no fear, and she was in on every tackle, slide tackling, and so for me, it was definitely someone to be inspired by. And so when I continued to watch her after she'd given me that special player card, I was just amazed by what she did on the pitch every single day. And what she does off the pitch is also very important. So she talked about how their time at the Olympics, she said, John asked us why we came back year after year to fight and bleed for Canada without much to show for it. Our answer became clear. We wanted to leave Canadian soccer better than we found it. We wanted to push the bar higher for the next generation. And this is exactly what they did. When they won that iconic game, it kind of gave girls hope, and it gave from people like me to talk about the Canadian national team and be like, this is our badass team now. And then 2016, they won back-to-back medals, something a team hadn't done in almost 100 years. And so it kind of gave me a talking ground, and I loved soccer, and I kind of realized, hey, there is a higher level. Like when you join, like when I joined when I was like 8 years old, it was just kind of like national team or nothing, and even the national team didn't have necessarily that much respect on the name, and now it's starting to get this respect, and girls are like, I want to be like this member on the team. Like, I remember a coach asked us when we were like 10, they're like, how many players can you name from the national team? And it wasn't a great number, admittedly, and now it's like younger girls are having all these players to look up to, like Ashley Lawrence and Kadisha Buchanan, and this is because of the veteran presence of people like Diana Matheson. And her teammates on the team who are veterans, such as Christine Sinclair and Steph Labbe, they did a little video, and I'm not gonna lie, I cried a little bit during it just because it was very sweet to see. So there were 6 of them there, I believe, and they kind of just each said something about how she was an amazing presence in this team and how she's taken this culture in the 20 such years that she's played on the team, and she's evolved this team to be a competitive threat. And basically, I would say she was a perfect identity of what the Canadian national team is. As she mentioned, she has that grit, that determination, and even if she's not the biggest, though some Canadian players are, she still got in on every tackle. And she said when she got the ball in the back of the net in that France game, she grabbed the maple leaf on her jersey and to celebrate, because she realized that moment was much more than about her. And that just sums her up. She's never focused on the individual glory. She's focused on the team and the development of Canada and the Canadian girls. And it's very interesting because at the end of her retirement note, she talks about Canadian soccer, and it relates to what we're talking about in this channel. Excuse me, because I'm going to read a couple of the lines again, but literally everything she wrote was so good. I cried a little bit, and I was just like, my favorite player moving on, I think, from the game, but she's talking facts here. So she said that being a women's soccer player from Canada is like trying to cross Niagara Falls on a tightrope. Very few people get to do it. Those who do have incredibly high levels of skill early on. There's no second chances for slow learners on a tightrope. You need a lot of luck and the right conditions to even attempt it. And if you are one of the few Canadians that make it, you inevitably end up in another country, playing out your career in the US or overseas. She's like, we need to build a bridge, not a tightrope. We need to provide pathways for the 99% of Canadian women who aren't lucky enough to be identified by our national team at the age of 15. The ones who are talented enough to play professionally but leave the game because there's no better options. We have the second highest participation in the world for girls and women, but not enough places for our women to play. This goes to our coaches, referees, GMs, executives, club presidents as well. So she talks about how it was very clear to see when you were in the provincial program, like there were these couple stars and they would play higher age groups, and then these were the girls that go to NTC. And it's like, true, yeah, these girls were killer at age 14, but it's like there were other girls who, perhaps like Evelyn Viennes, didn't necessarily bloom in their mid-teens, which is, you know, it's fair. People are going through a lot of emotions, a lot of development, and like you look at Vanessa Giles, she didn't even really start playing soccer until she was like 17. So you can see Bev is starting to pull in these players from other places, but this is exactly what Diana Matheson's been talking about. I think she saw it a lot too with like Kenneth as the coach, that you had to be in this program. If you weren't in this program, then you were lost. And so that's what we're trying to do with the Canadian women's soccer, is getting these opportunities for players, if they advance, to be able to play at home, to be able to play in the US if they want, but also there's players who are now like a girl who played with Oakville with me, Paige just signed with Bordeaux, but it's like she was trying to play League One in Canada, and if there had been a higher level, maybe she would have gone to that higher level in Canada, but it's respect her, it's super amazing, but it took her a lot of hustle and by herself to get there because there's not that many opportunities in Canada. So I think Dee has hit the nail on the head, and that she had a fantastic career, and for me, she was the most inspiring player. But she's also looking towards the future and building Canadian women's soccer. And so this whole time, she's been about everything being bigger than her. Like, you can look at her stats, her accolades. I'll try to include a screenshot of that, but she's always focused on the bigger picture. And I'm just going to say congratulations, Diana Matheson, from me. Biggest fan. And good luck with retirement, and I hope to see you involved with women's soccer in Canada a lot in the future. Thanks, Dee.